gentlemen, the national anthem of the Republic of Ghana. Please be on your feet for the anthem, national anthem. Kindly take your seats. Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to the launch of A Braimah, Biography of a Trailblazer, a life defined by perpetual struggle and sheer tenacity of overcoming it. My name is Kafui Day. It's my pleasure to be your master of ceremonies and your auctioneer. We want to start by putting the event into the hands of Almighty Allah, and I'd like to call on Mohammed L.A. Jara for the opening prayer. Mohammed L.A. Jara.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Let's commit this important book launch into the hands of Almighty Allah. Shall we be in the mood of prayer? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's Mohammed L.A. Jara. You're all welcome, and today's event will be brief and very powerful. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you here. We're happy that you spent some time on this beautiful Thursday evening to be with us to launch this very, very important book. For an event like this, we need a chairman to steer the affairs. And our distinguished chairman is a man of many parts: engineer, chief executive officer in manufacturing and banking in his past life, and a politician, not only being a member of parliament, but a minister as well for finance and education and sports. He was previously senior minister to the government, and he's now senior presidential advisor. Ladies and gentlemen, our chairman is none other than the Honorable Yao Osafo Mafu.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, acting as the President of the Republic, Honorable John Buedu, the General Secretary of our beloved party, Honorable UK Hackman, Chairman of the Council of Elders, Yagbonwura, and distinguished chiefs here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I accept with humility my nomination to chair this important function. It is important because you are going to launch a book of a very powerful politician in the annals of Ghana. I will prefer to keep my remarks at the end of the function rather than at the beginning. I therefore say thank you very much for nominating me to chair this function. I accept with humility. Thank you very much.
I'm pretty sure that this has been the briefest of chairman's remarks, and I love it. Nobody ever complained because a speech was too short, and that was great, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for the brief remarks almost took me by surprise. It's good to have you all here. We will now receive remarks by the head of J.A. Braimah's family. It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage Bimbaliwura Hamid Baba Braimah. And by the way, our event is streaming live online on YouTube and on Facebook on the Digibooks platform, Digibooks. All right, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, now acting as the President of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Muhammadu Onwuya, Yiram Pembiura, Bambanga Indefusor the Fourth, respected Chiefs present, Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, Municipal and District Chief Executive, leading members of political parties, distinguished invited guests, family members, ladies and gentlemen. I must say, I feel very emotional standing here today that J.A. Braimah's sacrifices and an unbounded struggles and legacy is being celebrated by this August gathering. It's simply beyond my imagination. Indeed, I can confidently say today that J will smile wherever he is. Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the Timu family and on my own behalf, I would like to send our profound gratitude to Alhassan Ahmed for this needed and welcome biography. Many people promised to write this biography of J, but none came through. Refreshingly, out of the blue and unexpectedly, in 2018, I was told a man from Salaga was documenting the life of J and needed some information about the family. I hastily supplied the information because it was not uncommon for people to request for such information, only for the family to be kept waiting in vain. However, this one was different. Since then, I kept in touch with this man. In August last year, he sent me this manuscript to cross-check facts about the family. Your Excellency, I was blown away by what I saw. The sheer volume, the quality, and details were simply incredible. In fact, I did not know a lot of the details myself. Up to this point, I have still not met this man. In January this year, the family met in Accra and invited him for a discussion. That was the first time any of us met him. Here was this young, tall, and lanky man. In fact, we expected to see an older person. Historians are usually not so young. So you can imagine our shock and the questions that followed. We immediately engaged him in a discussion. Ahmed demonstrated very deep knowledge of the life of J and the general history of Gonja in northern Ghana. What I have for you, Ahmed, is a message contained in Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. And I quote, "A man who pays respect to the great paves the way for his own greatness," unquote. Ahmed, by this work, inshallah, you have paved the way for your own greatness. That said, Mr. Chairman, that's like his grandfather. J. Braimah had a large family. I know a lot of you will remember when I mentioned the figures. He had 11 wives, 53 children. I must, however, clarify that some of the women just passed through his life for a short period of time. Although the head of family, I am actually the 38th child as I stand here. Yes. This family notwithstanding, Jay had a way of brushing off his qualities on all of us, including the larger Timu family. He instilled in us a spirit of sacrifice, integrity, and discipline. J.A. lived well. He loved his family and his people. As a result, he gained the respect and love of all. As a chief, politician, and author, J.A. had filled his niche and accomplished his task on earth. He left the world better than he met it. J.A. was a man who was innately driven, a drive fueled by the sight of unavoidable impoverishment of his people, the paucity of critically infrastructure due to decades of neglect, and the dire consequences of affairs of the future development of the Northern Territories, as Northern Ghana was then known. A drive further propelled by his search for social justice for the Northern Territories, an area which had been deliberately neglected by the colonial government. Your Excellency, as a chief, J.A. was put through unthinkable pain of daring to hold different political views over other than the dominant powers then. He was skinned, threatened with arrest, put under house arrest, and his supporters were not even spared. They were hounded like petty criminals. In all of this, J.A. preached peace and forgiveness. J.A. was very proud of his roots. He researched and narrated to us stories of the past. He wanted everybody to know the history, custom, and tradition of Gonja people. For this, he wrote several articles, pamphlets, and books. Mr. Chairman, as we leave this auditorium, after the book launch, let us not forget J.A.'s contribution to the Northern research. Let us not forget his contribution to the chieftaincy institution. Let us not forget his contribution to Ghana's political development. Above all, let us not forget J.A.'s sacrifice to Ghana and the North in particular. But he left one word or a saying with us as children, and for that matter, the whole of Gonja. I'll say it in Gonja first. That was one principal thing he always said. To it, he said, do not seek revenge for the wrong done you. I thank you all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
It's an explosion of fugu and smokes. Everywhere I turn my eyes, I see beautiful colors. It's really, really wonderful. And one of our guests who is wearing an equally beautiful fugu is our next speaker. He is the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Let's welcome remarks by Mr. John Bwedu.
Thank you very much, MC. As if we spoke to ourselves before we came. It's been wonderful. Chairman of the occasion, His Excellency, the acting president and vice president of the Republic of Ghana, elders of our great party led by Honorable Hackman Owusu-Agyemang, local government and decentralization and rural development minister Honorable Dan Botwe, Professor Joshua Alabi of the NDC, venerable chiefs and traditional leaders gathered here, other government officials, ladies and gentlemen. It is humbling and gratifying for the opportunity accorded me to address this important gatherings on behalf of the new Patriotic Party, to celebrate the legacy of our father, John Adam Braimah, Joseph Adam Braimah. Because I'm John, I appropriated it to myself, popularly called J. Braimah. The legendary contribution of J. Braimah, the late Yagbonwura of blessed memory, to the founding of our tradition, as well as his enormous service to the people of Ghana and the North in particular, is without doubt. J. Braimah was a celebrated traditional ruler by all standards, a nationalist, and more importantly, a co-founder of the political tradition from which the new Patriotic Party takes its roots, which is the Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition. Our very existence as a political party today is as a result of the illustrious work and legendary sacrifices of J. Braimah and some of his contemporaries. We have a rich and enviable political tradition today because of J. Braimah and his colleagues. We are the bastion of democracy and good governance in Africa today because of J. Braimah and his colleagues. As we all know, it was the Northern People's Party, a party co-founded by the legendary J. Braimah, together with Chief Dombo, Mumuni Baumia, that's the father of the current Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Na Abeyi Fakabo, Mumuni Dombie, Tolon na Yakubu Tali, Mumuni Kori, Imo Salifu, Jato Kalio, BK Adama, and CK Tedam, that merged with other like-minded smaller political parties to form the UP, that is the United Party, on November 3rd, 1957 at Gamashi in Accra. This followed the passage of the Avoidance of Discrimination Law in August 1957, engineered by the Nkrumah's government under the pretext of banning political parties with sectional, ethnic, or religious traces, and which did not have a national character. Mr. Chairman, may I, at this juncture, also acknowledge other political parties aside the Northern People's Party that identified with our political persuasion and accordingly came together to birth the political amalgam called the United Party. Here I'm talking about the National Liberation Movement, founded by Bafo Akoto, Sir Edward Asafueje of Yanum Chambers in Kumasi, Victor Owusu, and N.Y.B. Adade. The Muslim Association Party of Alhaji Usmanu, Gashi Fimokpe, founded by Ni Nate, Akanete, Ni Ashi, and Ni Boni of Osu Alata, that is Osu Alata Manche, and the Togoland Congress Party, founded by Senor Grato Anto, otherwise known as S.G. Anto, and Kojo Ayeke. Owing to the instrumental role he played during the 1964 referendum in respect of whether or not the Northern Territory was in support of federalism, J. Braimah was described by the colonial administration as a consummate federalist. This was during the era of Sir Frederick Bourne, the former British High Commissioner to India, who was at the time brought to the Gold Coast by the British government to oversee the organization of the referendum. However, the Northern People's Party, which campaigned strongly for federalism through J. A. Braimah, who was then the chief whip of the Northern Territory Council, lost by a single vote, 10 votes as against 11 votes secured by Nkrumah's CPP, which was for the unitary states. Another unique contribution of J. A. Braimah that is worth mentioning is the fact that he served in all government from Nkrumah to Busia. Though he at all times remained true and loyal to the Dankwa Dombo Busia political persuasion, J. A. Braimah was the first Northerner in the history of this country to serve as a cabinet minister following his appointment by the President Nkrumah's regime to serve as Minister for Communications. He also worked at the Education Ministry, deputizing J.H. Alhassan, who was then the MP for Yendi. After Nkrumah's overthrow by the National Liberation Council, the succeeding military administration also appointed J. A. Braimah to serve in the administration as a member of the Political Advisory Committee. J. A. Braimah also served as a Minister for Labor and Employment, and later as Northern Regional Minister in the administration of Prime Minister Busia during the Second Republic. J. A. Braimah again served as a member of the 1968 Constitutional Commission. This, ladies and gentlemen, can only be as a result of his political astuteness, fidelity to hard work, strong principles, and love for the country. Throughout the struggle for the attainment of nationhood and the liberation of this country from the relics of colonialism and Nkrumah's dictatorial tendencies, J. A. Braimah, who was one of the first 3 Northerners to enter the Legislative Assembly, exemplified selflessness, courage, and incorrigibility. He resigned from the Nkrumah's government on principles when he was wrongly accused by his detractors of taking bribe from CEO of Kasejan Construction. Even though he was exonerated after the inquiry, he never returned to the Nkrumah's government. On his courage, it will be recalled that even at the time when the threats posed by the Preventive Detention Act caused several politicians to either go into exile or to cross carpet to the CPP, J. A. Braimah stood firm at the very dire personal cost to his freedom and quality of life. He spoke audaciously and eloquently against the passage of the PDA, and his speech has been quoted widely by historians. Indeed, Eric S. Packham, a revered political scientist and author of many books, described J. A. Braimah's scholarly speech in Parliament against the PDA as one of the best speeches made in the Parliament of Ghana. J. A. Braimah, just like many of his contemporaries, in 1962 was detained under house arrest by the CPP government under the obnoxious PDA for speaking against Nkrumah's 7-year development plan. J. A. Braimah is a symbol of loyalty and patriotism to our political cause and was not persuaded by materiality. Nobody could get him to turn back on his convictions. You dare not. There was nothing on this earth that President Kwame Nkrumah did not do to convince J. A. Braimah to betray our political tradition and identify with the CPP. But all his efforts were to no avail. J. A. Braimah stood for this tradition at every material moment like none other. He stood his grounds even when some of his colleagues gave up on this tradition in acquiescence to the incessant pressures from Nkrumah and his governing CPP. Unfortunately today, not many of us in our political tradition, particularly the youth, are able to take a cue from J. A. Braimah's political sacrifices and unimpeachable degree of patriotism and loyalty. We have allowed a culture of materiality and what my party or government can do for me syndrome to define our relationship with the party, which is complete departure from the founding principles of this party, which were laid bare by J. A. Braimah and his colleagues. You'll be surprised that as we speak now, government is putting together an arrangement to appoint MMDCs. A region with just 15 districts. 230 people have applied to be considered in these 15 districts. A region with 16. 320 have applied to be considered. This is not what J. A. Braimah and Dombo preached. They were selfless, they were loyal, and dedicated to our cause. Finally, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, as we pay homage to the memory of our founding father, J. A. Braimah, the MPP wishes to use this occasion to also pay glowing tribute to the founding fathers of our political tradition, who sacrificed all they had in order to ensure that this tradition survived even the most tumultuous moments before and after independence. The party in this regard makes a special mention of J.B. Dankwa, Pa Grant, Dombo, R.S. Blay, Honorable Bechebi Lamti, William Oforiatta, Ebenezer Akweje, Edward Akufo-Addo, Dr. J.E. Ama, Oheneba Sakijan, Councillor E.A. Bosman, K.B. Teko, Christensen, E.C.A. Kwashi, Dr. Elvin Nankan Bruce, Councillor G.N. Alima, Honorable N.A. Olenu, Councillor Richard Akwe, Ben A. Tamaklu, V.B. Anan, Honorable Akila Pasoya, Solomon Odamti, Victor Owusu, N.Y.B. Adade, R.R. Aponsa, Professor Edubwine, J.H. Mensah, His Excellency J.A. Kufuor, B.J. Darocha, Ejenim Boateng, and several others who have contributed immensely to sustain this rich tradition of ours. Once again, these gallant founding fathers of our political tradition, including J. A. Braimah, stood for the principle of rule of law, good governance, free market and property owning democracy, freedom and liberty of the Ghanaian, accountability, sacrifice for the collective good, nobility, humility, dedication to duty, social justice, patriotism, love for our country, among other center-right philosophies, which underpin the political tradition from which the New Patriotic Party takes its roots. These are the principles that underpin the founding of the MPP tradition, which have made her the all-time most endearing political party in Ghana's history. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, we don't move or depart from these enviable founding principles of ours. We must endeavor to uphold the vision of J.B. Dankwa, the vision of Dr. Buzia, the vision of S.D. Dombo, the vision of J. A. Braimah, the vision of John Ajay Kufuor, and the vision of the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let us uphold our founding principles at all times and commit ourselves to serving our party and government with the necessary diligence and aptness for the love of God and country. Our success or otherwise depends largely on the extent at which we respect and uphold our founding principles. Our founding fathers were successful because they never compromised on these principles. I'm also confident that just as the like of Kufuor's government, the government of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will also be successful so long as we all commit ourselves to upholding our founding principles. Thank you, and God bless you all. Long live MPP, long live J. A. Braimah, Long live the Dankwa Dombobuzia tradition. Long live our beautiful mother Ghana. Thank you.
Many thanks, Honorable General Secretary of the NPP, Sir John Bredu, for your remarks. The next speaker is a former Chief Director at 2 ministries, former President of the Ghana Football Association, and the writer of the foreword to the book we are launching today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Lepowura Alhaji MND Jawula.
His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, my boss, Mr. Safabafu, my boss of many years, the man who trained me at the Ministry of Finance, my eminent chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. My assignment here is short. I did a foreword to this iconic book, written entirely by Mr. Alhassan Ahmed, a brilliant young man. He's done what Timu, otherwise known as A Braimah, would have done for others. Timu trained some of us. Everybody knows this. And we tried to live by his accolades as much as we could. And so this was a man who lived, first of all, a very simple life. He was a chief, a traditional ruler. He met lots of problems between him at the time and the Nkrumah government. He came back, became a politician thereafter, and then served finally as a board member of the Fundraising Commission. He is most remembered for his brilliant expositions in Parliament against the then Preventive Detention Act, which was terrible. At the time, the majority of members of Parliament had been persuaded to pass it into law because from the terminology, it was supposed to be an act that was preventative, to prevent people from causing harm, whatever that meant. But right from day one, when Nkrumah asked Mr. Braimah to serve in his government, he never really saw peace because he was a man of good quality. He had to talk the truth at all times, and that one, you cannot take it away from him. And therefore, I was a little boy, about 8 years old in Pandai, when the Gonja Traditional Council met. I was in the crowd. I didn't know then that it was a historical occasion, but it was a crowd meant to diskin Mr. Braimah as Kabachora. And what was his offense? They said he had gone on delegation to London without permission from the Yagbonwura. And Nkrumah was then on very good terms with the Yagbonwura, and it was a means to embarrass him. He did everything under the sun to explain whatever he did, to say it was in the national interest, he had to go, but they took the skins from him. Mr. Alhassan covers this very well. Mr. Alhassan Ahmed covers this very well in the book. He goes to the genesis of it and how eventually he was reinstated as Kanyasura, and then eventually he moved on to become Pembura and to become the Yagbonwura. The bit that we learn from all this is that J. Braimah had a lot of patience. He was humble, he was patient, but at the same time, he could speak his mind thoroughly without worrying at all about whatever he said. And therefore, books are written at this stage to assist us, to assist current aspects of governance, not only government in power, but as well as the opposition, as well as the ordinary man, as well as students of history, so that we can pick a leaf or two from great men and then move ahead in our lives. I remember when the PNDC appointed me as the Northern Regional Minister in 1982 at a big forum in Kwembi. Mr. Braimah, who was then the Yagbonwura, advised me that he didn't think politics was meant for me. He thought I should find a nice way to stay out of it, and that I should hold fast to the civil service and to the institution of chieftaincy. I believe that forecast was not terribly wrong, because he was somebody who was able to look at things dispassionately in a way that nobody could say in those days. I remember when Timu was the regional minister in Tamale, he looked at all the imposing buildings in Tamale meant for the regional minister, and he chose the smallest building, which is still there. It's a round hut. That is just by the imposing residency for the regional minister. That's where he chose to live. He said he had come as a simple man. One day he will not be in office. He will not have that type of house. He will rather stay in a small hut that he thought, even after office, he will still be able to live in. And definitely, that building is still there. It's a small hut. Just as you get to residency, you see it on the right-hand side. He was that simple. Very exceptional man. He had such foresight that one could not imagine about him. When the government of the AFRC came on board, and there were a lot of remarks by everybody, oh, this government, oh, they were jokers, oh, they'll be knocked off, oh, they won't do 3 months, they will not do 3 months. He told us in Kwembi that looking at the feeling in the country, it did appear that the young man then, Rollins then, had some support, and he's not somebody who was going to be wished away very, very fast. And so as the years wore on, some of us were really surprised that what he said had come to fruition. So in his final years, when he was invited to come and chair the Forestry Commission, he took it upon himself as a duty to come and support his country. And one thing that he did all the time was that anytime he had information from the national level, he would consult the people, he would inform them. I've been asked to go to Accra, I've been asked to go to Tamale, I've been asked to go abroad, and this is the function I'm supposed to perform. And on his return, he would make sure that he briefed the whole people at all times. So he was very, very consultative. And therefore, much of what he did was well understood by everybody. So definitely, we have lots and lots to learn from Timu. There's no doubt about it. His children, 2 of them, as you all know, got into politics. One, graciously, gratefully, came through the MPP tradition. The other one went to the NDC tradition. We did everything to persuade him to come and join us. He will not listen, but he's here. So I'm sure today he's going to listen to me. It is not too late, because this is your father's tradition. And I think it is time for you to come back. Yes, I'm looking at you directly. I think it's time for you to come back and support your traditions where things really matter. I think a lot is happening in the political scene today. A lot is happening at the district levels where Mr. Braimah, where Timo would have shown a lot of interest and would have made lots of commentary. One is the devastation of our forests in Savannah and part of the north. It's good that the King of Gonja and the Paramount Chiefs have agreed to stand up and sort this matter out. The felling of rosewood and then overproduction of charcoal. This is something that Timo would have definitely been happy to talk about, and it is following exactly in a way that would let him smile in his grave wherever he is. On this occasion, on behalf of Timo, I want to thank the Gonja Traditional Council, the Savannah House of Chiefs, for all the efforts that they are making so far. And I believe that they should not lie in wait for things to deteriorate anymore. Because, as I always tell people, we have 16 regions in Ghana today, and Savannah remains the biggest. And every good thing that used to be in the West is now in Savannah. All the rivers of Ghana pass through Savannah. All the big roads of Ghana pass through Savannah, to the extent that whenever, to the extent that whenever there's a problem at Yape or Bupe, it touches on trade not only within Ghana, but between Ghana and Burkina Faso, Niger, and everybody, where everybody must pass through Savannah. There's no other way. Over and above that, as you know, we have the biggest game reserve, not only in Ghana, but in West Africa, Mori. Within Savannah, we have gold. Within Savannah, we are told, and we hope it is so, that we may even have aspects of oil for the future. But all this, all what we have, means that we as a people, we should stand firm and believe in the tenet that A Braimah pushed across for his people. Sit together and talk and debate, eschew violence. There should be more about discussions and agreeing to do the right thing all the time. That is what he would have done for his people and for Ghana. I think I recommend this book to all of us. It is not only a political book on political theory, but there's a lot more about Ghana and about the nation and about the North, about other people, about our education and how education in the North suffered. There's so much about everything. And we should try and look at this book again, read it, and let others also try to write a bit more to bring up the North and Ghana as a whole. I thank you very much.
Let's give them a big round of applause. Asanku Soon. Thank you. Bore Nasa Gonja Cultural Dance. And I found out that it's called Gingam. And with a dance like this, you don't have to go to the gym for exercise because the dancing itself is exercise. Thank you so much. And before the author and our special guest of honor speak, this is an excerpt from a book review by Dr. George M. Bob Miller, Senior Lecturer in African Politics, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, Department of History and Political Studies. These are his words, not mine. A Braimah, Biography of a Trailblazer, is a fascinating story of the life of a politician and a traditional ruler. Chief Braimah rose from obscure origins in Salaga to become a prominent political and traditional figure in 20th century Ghana. Alhassan Ahmed has written an authoritative account of a central political figure he aptly described as a trailblazer. This political biography places the central character within time and space and within three historical epochs in Ghana. It analyzes the pre-colonial settlement history of the Gonja people. It discusses the imposition of colonial rule and how it impacted communities in northern Ghana. Ahmed examined the life of A Braimah from multiple angles: Gonja traditional politics, colonial state politics, and post-independence politics, civilian and military versions. Ahmed did well to situate this book within the more extensive historiography of the North. He made a reference to some of the classics. The author's strength seems to be the fact that many scholarly sources were consulted. Both field investigation and content analysis were applied throughout the writing. One key strength that runs through all the chapters is the use of primary evidence. Political biographies are written with the empiricist, positivist tradition and follow chronological order. This book achieves some of this. Ahmed used archival data, debates in the legislature, reports, petitions, minutes, and general correspondence. I inferred from the book that the subjects interviewed during the field research were knowledgeable of the history of Gonja land and the central character of the book. Consequently, the book has fulfilled some of the requirements for an interpretive political biography. Though not trained as a professional historian, Ahmed has written what many historians would admit has met most of the yardsticks of a good historical narrative. He has shown his in-depth knowledge of northern Ghana's history and has also demonstrated an admirable mastery of the facts and language. I conclude, this book is a must-read for anyone interested in the political history of Ghana and traditional leadership. Both undergraduates and graduate students of history and political science and the general public will find this book useful. End of quote. Dr. George M. Bob Miller, who wrote the review for the book. And it's now time to introduce a proud son of Salaga, a passionate student of history and research, trained in the fields of IT, education, and community development, and the author of A Braimah, Biography of a Trailblazer. Let's welcome the author, Alhassan Ahmed. It's right here.
I must say I'm overwhelmed by what I am seeing here today. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Hiram Pimbiura Haruna Bambangan Devso IV, respected chiefs present, honorable ministers of state, honorable members of parliament, chairman of the Council of State of the New Patriotic Party, Honorable Hakman Owusu-Ajuman, General Secretary of the NPP, Honorable John B. Boydu, Honorable Municipal and District Chief Executives, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. 47 years ago,
Exactly on the 26th of November 1974, Joseph Adam Braimah, popularly known as J.A. Braimah, stood here in this academy at the invitation of Professor E.A. Boatin, then president of this learned society, to give a passionate but persuasive lecture on chieftaincy in northern Ghana. Here I am today, 34 years after J. Braimah's demise, not just to launch a book about his life, but to celebrate a life well lived. And so, to say I feel honored and delighted to be standing here today will be an understatement. Mr. Chairman, growing up in Salaga, my knowledge about the illustrious life of J. Braimah did not go beyond his status as the Paramount Chief of Pembi, that is the Pembiura, and later King and Overlord of the Gonja Kingdom, that is the Yagbonwura, as well as the Northern Regional Minister. I dare say that a majority of my contemporaries here and elsewhere share in this regrettably limited knowledge of the life of J. Braimah. The idea of writing J. Braimah's biography was conceived in 2017. In the course of a research for an assignment, I chanced on a journal article titled Education in Northern Ghana, 1906 to 1940, a study in colonial paradox, by Professor Roger G. Thomas. The article contained an extract from a book co-authored by J. Braimah and Professor Jagudi, the renowned anthropologist, titled Salaga, The Struggle for Power. Your Excellency, this extract stirred my interest in the book. I immediately commenced a search for it. My extended search took me to the Institute of African Studies Library at the University of Ghana, where I was fortunate to get a copy from their reserved collection. I was amazed by what I found. The book is simply a breathtaking stroke of genius. The first part of the book, which is uttered by J. Braimah and published earlier as the 2 Esa Wolfos, was largely about the Pembi Civil War of 1892. J. Braimah's crafty way of articulating this tumultuous period in the life of the Pembi Traditional Area is absolutely incredible. Indeed, after reading the book, my interest in getting to know J. Braimah more was aroused. Regrettably, after visits to several libraries and internet searches, I observed that just as the northern territories of Ghana were neglected by the colonial government, the leaders who had fought for the North during this period and beyond, through the narrow focus on hegemonic figures of pre- and immediate post-independent Ghana, were also sidelined by historians. As a result of this, their critical role in the fight for self-determination is forgotten. Ladies and gentlemen, it was for this reason that as someone who was born and bred in Salaga, I felt a sense of obligation to put together a biography, no matter how brief in length or limited in scope, on the life of a man who has brought honor not only to Salaga and Pembi, but Gonja land and entire northern Ghana. I therefore immersed myself in the documents chronicling aspects of J. Braimah's life, interacted with people who were fortunate to have met him, and like a love story, I have come to know and love a man I never met. Initially, I opted to write an article on the life of J. Braimah, but the deeper I went into my research, the more amazed I felt regarding the achievement of J. Braimah. The outcome of my research is this exhaustive account of the life of J. Braimah that is about to be launched today. Your Excellency, there is no gainsaying the fact that J. Braimah has achieved far more than my generation has been made aware of. As a chief and a political figure, he has been one of the most important, influential, and dynamic individuals to have hailed from northern Ghana in the 20th century. For these and many other parent roles detailed in the book, I describe J. Braimah as a trailblazer. And like all those who by faith blaze the trail for others, his life was defined not just by the struggles that came with such a destiny, but the sheer tenacity of overcoming same. This informed the choice of the title of the book, J. Braimah, Biography of a Trailblazer, a life defined by perpetual struggle and sheer tenacity of overcoming it. J. Braimah's biography, which is about to be launched today, is a product of months of painstaking research. It is based on a number of interviews, archival sources, and several printed materials, published and unpublished. Your Excellency, I have sought in 384 pages, divided into 17 chapters and 6 appendices, to present a realistic picture which has focused not only on J. Braimah's political career, but also on a genuine effort to bring to light the life of this unique and dynamic individual. I have also taken the liberty to quote at length some of his memorable speeches, statements, and letters to give readers the benefit of J. Braimah's opinion on some of the thorny issues that came out during his time. Readers will as well benefit from some very interesting history, which served as background to some of J. Braimah's actions. Your Excellency, before I end my remarks, I would like to express profound appreciation to some individuals whose support and encouragement made the completion of J. Braimah's biography and the launch today a reality. It had not been easy combining my ever-demanding work schedule, schooling, and family responsibility with the writing of this biography. I was fortunate, however, to have a very understanding and supportive wife. For your patience and being an anchor at home for all the days I was away and pseudo present, I say thank you, my beloved wife, Tawa. She's here. She's behind there. Please, let them see you. Without your assistance and encouragement, I could never have the peace of mind to complete this book. I would also like to thank Honorable Salifu Adam Braimah, former Savannah Regional Minister and Member of Parliament for Salaga South constituency, and one of J. Braimah's sons. He was the first person I contacted when I decided to write J. Braimah's biography. His keen interest in my work gave me the needed impetus to proceed. He is here. Can we give him a round of applause? Although Honorable Uncle Sally, as we call him, did not have enough information to support the work, he linked me up with Lepora MND Jaula, who I just finished speaking here, who opened up to me and gave me access to valuable information. The Lepora also connected me to Bumbalura Hamid Baba Braimah, former Member of Parliament for Salaga, head of the J. Braimah family, and another son of J. Braimah, on whose knowledge I have drawn so deeply. The Bimbalura especially was unfailingly helpful in attending to my unending requests. To all of them, I owe a debt of gratitude. The Bimbalura is here. After completing the final manuscript, I decided to hand it over to a professional political historian for an academic review before publication. The first person that came to mind was Dr. George M. Bob Miller, senior lecturer in African politics at the Department of History and Political Studies of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I had closely followed his work and relied on some when I was writing this biography. Bob Miller has achieved almost everything in his field of research. He has published widely and has been editor and editor-in-chief of several academic journals. When I contacted him, on his table were several PhD, MPhil, and MA theses to examine, not to mention his teaching and other engagements. Nonetheless, Dr. Bob Miller accepted to review the manuscript, and within a very short time, he read through the over 370 pages of the manuscript and consequently wrote 3 pages of balanced academic review. I have decided to add an excerpt, which has been read here, of the review to the biography. He is not here with us, he couldn't be here with us. I owe him a debt of gratitude. I should also like to thank Engineer Dr. Clifford Abdullah Braimah, Managing Director of the Ghana Water Company Limited, who happened to be a brother to J. Braimah. But for his generous financial contribution, J. Braimah's biography may perhaps have remained just a manuscript on my shelf, gathering dust. He not only financed the printing of the book in India, but also paid for the organization of tonight's event. Doc, you have indeed demonstrated to your brother, J. Braimah, that you are a grateful soul. I appreciate your support. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, our author Alhassan Ahmed, for your remarks and giving us a sense of what happened in the making of this book. We are grateful to you for shedding light on the history of Ghana and the history of Gonja land. Thank you so much. I think he deserves another big round of applause.
Jira. To anolan yawa. Solve ne. Amfani. Me Allah makallo mun dindinga ne anka debi. Kuso kabar mebar muso jaman mi fir panta ban doto. Na ya tuwo nya kenima. Amfani ko mi hura. Be andelo Yagbonwura timu bulangara chanana. Kanyana kawur fana mawara. Benyeri ya bola kwa bi timu ba she na ba chineji. Ama makangba to bajin boku na bulan kollo na nyamwa. Nana asafu mafumo kasunti asem wasifa hana memfa ha yenyina namba ko na yepe timu sore ye no wasi wone de opeso wosumo no mai wa kasa wo beso mu gonja nko ha wosumo gonja wosuma sante mai wosumo mpurusu mai asomo dago mai wo wiye ye wasiga na nyina ye media wa fa mo bia wo de ama wiase nyina na wa bia ye de na wansa ye ya wa ndana se ya wa mona baso a idi mbone na odebe manana ababi una masana ka ambanya mon batir ku so sonkoro na perka jasi buto men she potumba wasa cere bu wondu wake mo karmanja ka cere be shamu wondu waya mu juli je Braimah bin biya na no wonne nyutu ka wala Allah na manyi bobre man wure libi kena mon batir ku so ko lo ko lo mo butu ko way man dum fo fa mandi wo woda mo wan ka wo so wonti minda ubeyede ada adesene mere mayondana kuma bodo agban bi alamo bodo gudu gban ka fudu mboro bi ne ya aburo bi anya adesene mere mayondana sangala to bolo ne bi che dan fo be tunga yolomo je Braimah abukalu acha ka jane ya chine nying je Braimah ni mechine shu je Braimah dan ka ngba e ka gbanye kala ka klena e ka divi kuma ne kiyili matakamo e ko kumba ka sota na ka divi ki gamatan dan banka muso amundulo makanga ya amundulo afulin ko mi fula kuma sun kuta tebe to baka tumbe tingaji maka an banya sama ba mi ruba ambanga maka ngo ba umiya Ningun Bobby Yanga, one Bobby Yelmanuzuma. Ye Braimah wadatum katum, Obutum Zabatum Qua, Utum to Mampurtanga, Katum to Kabuantanga, Katum to Zabatanga, Katum to Hausatanga, Katum to Muganaza. No matter who couldn't to me, who banted me what it was in Ukunin yet. Who don't go to Bukofutum Borovinia, Dambochi Kumifula. Jupuna Kafunga for Major Kafung Monkoma, a Promojarelama, Addison Merma, Zimbala Katamama, Dumbala Katamama, Korkubusula Jambu, Monokurupusula Jambu, Netamuko do of Kulkwana, a Promojarelama, Matue, a Panamaya, a Manamperma, Mayamo, Sankalato Walua Lelama, Bicheda for Betongalamo, one about Kukulunku, Mujipumi Pini Yalui, boom, 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 boom.
Hassan Koshun, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for that appellation. The Minister for Local Government and Rural Development and MP for Accra, Dan Kweku Buchi, the Senior Advisor to the President, Honorable Yao Safumafu, General Secretary, the New Patriotic Party, John Boydu, the Chairman of the Council of Elders, the New Patriotic Party, Honorable Hakman Owusu Ajman, Members of Parliament, Your Excellencies, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Pembiwura, Chiefs of the Gonja Traditional Council, MMDCs, the A Braimah family, many distinguished invited guests here like Professor Alabi, the author, our distinguished author, Alhassan Ahmed, ladies and gentlemen and members of the press, it is really an honor and a privilege. As I stand here, I feel goosebumps to be here at the invitation of the author to be the special guest of honor on the occasion of the launch of this historic biography of A Braimah. I would like, first of all, to commend Alhassan Ahmed, the author, for exhibiting the difficult discipline to document almost exhaustively the life of this great personality. This day is indeed historic in many respects. My own father, Alhaji Mumuni Baomia, of blessed memory, and A Braimah had a history of a very close and cordial bond, which dated back to their time in the Northern Territories Council. Our two families have since maintained this very close and cordial and warm relationship even after the demise of both of our fathers. Indeed, it is not by chance that our two families stayed and continue to stay in Kanda here in Accra, and they've done so since the 60s. Born in the Kanyase royal family on 31st August 1916 in Pembi, in now East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, A Braimah started school at the Tamale Infant School and continued at the Salaga Primary School. However, due to the restrictionist educational policy adopted by the colonial government at the time, schools in all parts of the Northern Territories, such as Northern Ghana, except Tamale, ended at Standard 3. As a result, after Standard 3, A Braimah proceeded to the Tamale Middle Boarding School, from where he completed in 1932. Mr. Chairman, when the new system of native administration, popularly known as indirect rule, was introduced in the Northern Territories of the Gold Coast in 1932, A Braimah became one of the first Northerners to be appointed native authority clerks to kickstart the new system of local governance. He rose through the ranks to become a senior native authority clerk and secretary to the Gonja Traditional Council. From this position, J. Braimah served on many committees and commissions set up to ensure the momentous inclusion of the Northern Territories in the affairs of the Gold Coast. Prominent among which is the Justice Henley Kusey Committee on Constitutional Reform set up in October 1948 by the Governor, Sir General Creasy. The recommendations of the Kusey Committee led to the formation of the Henry Award Committee, whose mandate was to work out the technicalities of the delimitation of constituencies and the establishment of voting procedures, qualifications and disqualifications of voters and the candidates for the 1951 elections. The Northern Territories Council was therefore given the opportunity to have, for the first time in history, a representative in the Legislative Council to discuss portions of the Ewart Committee report that affected the Northern Territories. J. Braimah, who was the Vice President of the Northern Territories Council, was selected together with Yakubu Tali and S.D. Dombo as representatives of the Northern Territories. They were sworn in on the 24th of July, 1950, making J. Braimah and his two other colleagues the first ever Northerners to serve as members of the Legislative Council, which was the parliament of that time. J. A. Braimah would go on to serve in the 1951, 1954, 1956, and 1965 parliaments of the country. Meanwhile, after the 1951 elections, the Convention People's Party, CPP, won the majority of the seats in the Legislative Assembly. In the Northern Territories, however, the elections were conducted by Electoral College and not based on political parties. Therefore, all 19 members from the North entered the Legislative Assembly as independents. This implied that if Dr. Nkrumah were to select ministers solely from the CPP members of the Legislative Assembly, his government would not have anybody from the Northern Territories. J. A. Braimah was therefore appointed by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1951, following Governor Charles Noble Arden Clark's recommendation to serve as Minister of Communications and Works, becoming in that capacity the first ever Northerner to be appointed a minister in Ghana. Mr. Chairman, aside the immense work J. A. Braimah undertook as minister in the areas of energy, roads, water, posts, telegrams, aviation, railway, ports and harbors, and educational infrastructure, he still found time to keep in touch with all persons who needed his attention. His position as cabinet minister did not in any way cloud his sense of community. He was down to earth and did not stand by ceremony. Thus, he did not request any of the privileges that are sometimes associated with people of his position. This made him very welcoming and someone in whose presence many people felt very comfortable. It did not therefore come as a surprise that the Daily Graphic adjudged him the most popular minister in Nkrumah's first government. In an exclusive editorial, the Daily Graphic, in its number 529 issue of 1952, affirmed that, and I quote, "If the question who is the most popular minister in the cabinet, is put to the citizens of the Gold Coast, the reply in 9 out of 10 is bound to be Joseph Adam Braimah, Minister of Communications and Works. End quote. J. Braimah was a man who wears integrity like a badge. There was absolutely nothing that could make him compromise his position. For this reason, when he realized that an amount of money he had received from Axel Kasajan, a contractor, was meant to influence him, he immediately tendered in his resignation, to the shock of the governor, who reported to have asked him to consult a psychiatrist. J. Braimah thus became the first indigenous person in the country to resign his position as a minister on basis of principle. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, the journey towards self-determination picked up steam with the CPP government's acceptance of the Van Leer Commission's report in 1953. This report recommended the abolition of the electoral college system of elections in the Northern Territories, and thus heralded countrywide elections through adult suffrage and identifiable political parties for the 1954 elections. Mr. Chairman, I now want to give a background to the Northern People's Party, for which J. Braimah played a very, very important role, along with his colleagues. Following the riots and agitations in Accra and other southern principal towns for immediate independence from the British colonial rule by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and other leaders, the Kuse Committee was set up in 1948 by the colonial government to draw up a constitution to advance the independence program. The Gold Coast, then in the pre-independence era, comprised the regions of the colony, Ashanti, British Togoland, and the Protectorate of the Northern Territories. The committee recommended, amongst others, the creation of a legislative assembly based for the first time on universal adult suffrage for most parts of the regions of the colony, Ashanti and British Togoland. The Northern Territories, because of the mass illiteracy and poor education, was for the first time to have an electoral college to elect 19 representatives to the new Legislative Assembly. Mr. Chairman, these elections took place in 1951. The North was then comparatively backward, with a poor educational system, the highest educational institution being a middle school. These were the government middle school in Tamale and the Roman Catholic middle school in Navrongo, with less than 10 primary schools in the whole of the North. There was not a single secondary school in the North, but a few Standard 7 pupils were selected each year for 4 years training in Achimota as teachers to teach in the few primary schools and the middle schools in the North. As a result, the highest school graduates were those with Certificate A teachers or the certificated Standard 7 scholars. Road infrastructure in the Northern Territories was poor. Telephone and postal services were virtually non-existent. Apart from the poorly constructed and ill-equipped Tamale Hospital, there were only a few dispensaries at Salaga, Wa, Gambaga, and Navrongo. Treated pipe water supply was limited only to Tamale, the regional capital. Mr. Chairman, the Northern Territory was left in its backward situation as it was during the immediate pre-independence period, not because of its protectorate status, but because of a deliberate policy of the British administering authority. The British policy, as seen in the archives, was to let the North remain a reservoir for the recruitment of labor for the mines, timber, and cocoa industries in the then colony and Ashanti. The idea, ladies and gentlemen, was to develop the South first and consider the North later. As a result, education was limited only to the middle school level, as I said. Northerners were not encouraged to make contact with people in the South for the fear that Southerners might influence Northerners to kick against the policy being pursued. As a result of this policy, education was neglected in the Northern Territories. Mr. Chairman, by January 1954, there were rumors that Dr. Nkrumah had advised the governor to dissolve the Legislative Assembly for new elections to be held for the granting of independence. In response to this, discussions were held by S.D. Dombo, Mumuni Bawumia, Yakubu Tali Tolong Na, J.A. Braimah, at that time the Kabachewura, and J.A. Nagba, then the Secretary to the Northern Territories Council, to decide on the Northern response to those developments. As a result of these discussions, they came to the conclusion that the North would be worse off if certain developments in physical, social, and economic infrastructure did not take place before independence was granted to the Gold Coast. They were convinced that they could not achieve their objective in a situation of disunity in the legislature. They therefore decided that the solution lay in the formation of a political party for Northerners in unity to fight to secure the much-needed developments and constitutional safeguards for the North before the grant of independence. In this regard, they also decided to make use of the protectorate status of the Northern Territories as the bargaining weapon for their cause. They accordingly agreed to the formation of the Northern People's Party to capture all or most of the Northern seats in the Legislative Assembly, in the hope that they would have a united force to bargain with the emerging government and the British colonial powers for a better future for Northerners when the country gained independence. The Northern People's Party also aimed to ensure that certain constitutional institutions were established for the Northern Territories to continue to provide the much-needed developments to bridge the gap between the North and the South within a reasonable short time, even after the grant of independence. In this regard, they had in mind a regional autonomy with executive powers to undertake such developments. Mr. Imoro Salifu from Boko was invited to join the party. In March 1954, Mr. S.D. Dombo, Mumuni Bawumia, Imoro Salifu, and J. Nagba were mandated to tour the Northern Territories to introduce the party to the people. Mr. Chairman, by the beginning of April 1954, the initial campaign was over, and the first delegates conference of the Northern People's Party was held in Tolon Na's house in Sabongida. The Tolon Na himself was present and participated in the deliberations. These were the patriots who were driven by the collective good and not by personal interest. For example, the Congress proposed Mumuni Bawumia as the chairman of the Northern People's Party, but he declined in favor of S.D. Dombo, the Duorina. Mumuni Bawumia declined to be chairman because the strength of the NPP, the Northern People's Party, was in Mamprugu, which included present-day Boku and Bolgatanga districts of the Upper East region of Ghana, and he did not want the impression created that the Northern People's Party was a Mamprusi party. In fact, he said that people started calling the Northern People's Party the Nairi People's Party. The Nayiri, who is the king of the Mamprose kingdom, whose symbol was the elephant, was a strong supporter and financier of the Northern People's Party. Mr. A.F. Jeremani Edagomba was elected General Secretary, Imoru Salifu of Boku was Propaganda Secretary, and J.B. Fusheni Lamashegna was elected Treasurer. The Northern People's Party leadership, for strategic reasons, let J.A. Braimah and Tolona contest the election, the 54 election, as independent members, but to join the party after the election. As a result, the Northern People's Party had no candidates in Gonja East and Tolong Kumbungu. The 1954 general elections gave the Northern People's Party 17 out of the 26 seats, including the independent candidates of Yakubu Tali and J.A. Braimah, who were sponsored by the party. Mr. Chairman, the Northern People's Party pursued the battle with the British colonial authorities and the government of the Gold Coast for the constitutional safeguards and developments of the North with renewed vigor after the 1954 general elections. The party had hoped that the Ghana Congress Party, which was its ally, would win enough seats to form the official opposition in the Legislative Assembly. The Ghana Congress Party, which was formed by Dr. K.A. Busia, and its leadership was made up of the professional-oriented leadership of the UGCC and some dissatisfied CPB members. In the event after the election, it turned out that only Dr. K.A. Busia, the leader of the Ghana Congress Party, was returned to the Assembly. The Ghana Congress Party won only one seat, which was Winchi, out of the election. Therefore, in accordance with British democracy, the Northern People's Party became the official opposition because they had the majority of seats, with S.D. Dombo as its leader. In another act of selflessness, incredible selflessness, the Northern People's Party agreed that notwithstanding being in the majority, they agreed to make Busia the leader of the opposition. And this was done on the basis of Busia's education, his exposure and competence, and to forge unity between the North and the South. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, at this time in 1954, when this alliance was entered into, the National Liberation Movement was not yet in existence. It had not yet been formed. So in fact, this 1954 alliance between Dankwa Dombo and Busia traditions, in fact, predated the formation of the NLM and predated the formation of the United Party. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the Prime Minister, had hoped that the 1954 general elections would be the last before the grant of independence to the Gold Coast. But this was not to be. In 1955, a new, powerful political movement called the National Liberation Movement sprang up in Ashanti. 3 influential members of Nkrumah's CPP, namely Victor Owusu, Joe Appiah, and Arar Amponsa, crossed carpet to join the NLM, which was formed by Bafo Osei Akoto. The NLM was born with the slogan Federation for Ghana and campaigned vigorously for a federal system of government for the Gold Coast. Dr. Busia of the Ghana Congress Party also joined the NLM. However, immediately after independence in 1957, the CPP government passed the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, which outlawed all political parties formed on regional, racial, and religious grounds. And so the Northern People's Party, which held the highest number of seats, went into alliance with other opposition parties to form the United Party, with Busia as leader and SD Dombo as the deputy leader, and J.A. Braimah as the national vice chairman of the United Party. Mr. Chairman, it is important to recall that as a member of the opposition, J.A. Braimah faced unthinkable difficulty, especially in his position as chief. His political enemies, within and outside his traditional area, instigated his removal as Kanisewura, barely a year after his elevation to the skin. His diskinment was grounded on a very weak and vexatious charge of visiting the United Kingdom as a member of the opposition delegation for constitutional discussions without permission from the Yagbonwura. Try as he did, J.A. Braimah could not reverse the decision. Not until 10 years later, when the government of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, he would later be elevated to the Paramount Chief of Pembe Traditional Area, and then the Yagbonwura skins as king and overlord of the Gonja Kingdom. God indeed works in mysterious ways. The man who was diskinned is now the Yagbonwura, the overlord of the Gonja tradition. Similarly, in an environment where many feared to speak out when things were wrong, obviously for fear of incurring the displeasure of the CPP government, J. Braimah was forthright, honest, and firm in his constructive but articulate criticisms of the government's actions he deemed inimical to the development of the country. Predictably, this incurred for J. Braimah the wrath of the CPP government, and as a consequence, under the obnoxious Preventive Detention Act, the PDA, J. Braimah was placed under house arrest for several months. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, J. Braimah was a prolific writer, erudite researcher, and a scholar of Gonja history. He wrote several very important books on the Gonja people. His writings remain a reference point for many academic papers and books, including, obviously, the book or his biography that we are launching today. Mr. Chairman, J. Braimah was a man of varied talents and common integrity, an embodiment of selfless public service. He was a man far ahead of his time. Indeed, he represents the most excellent specimen of the enviable Dankwa Dombo Busia tradition, and this has never been lost on the New Patriotic Party. J. Braimah's abiding faith in a democracy that respects the rule of law, human rights, and the doctrines of the democratic accountability, and his quest to see the bridging of the development gulf between the north and the south of Ghana kept his name alive till today. It is for the struggles of J. Braimah and his compatriots that we have a Ghana that we are proud of today, a Ghana full of opportunities and a Ghana leaping into the future with great hopes and aspirations. This book, the biography of J. Braimah that we are launching today, is both timely and instructive. And we thank the author once again for making sure we have the benefit of this great man. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. God bless you, and God bless our homeland, Ghana. So, by the grace of Allah, I declare this book, J.A. Braimah, Biography of a Trailblazer, duly launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Chairman, permission, Mr. Chairman, to begin with the auction, the fundraiser. I can go ahead. I have the green lights from the chairman, and listening to the Vice President, it's just like so much that this man did. You think he lived 100 years, you know, but I just checked. He died at the age of 70, but did such a lot. Not just for the people of Gonja, but for the people of Ghana. I was reading the book and I found out that even some parts of at Takoradi Harbour, and in his capacity as minister, he oversaw a lot of these things that we didn't know about, I didn't know about. So it's a really fantastic book, over 300 pages, written by Alhassan Ahmed, launched by the Vice President, and now I'm going to sell the book. And normally when I sell my books, then my friends no longer become my friends because I'm going to ask for money. But we'll make this very interesting and very short. The program says 45 minutes, but I'll do this in 20 minutes. And I have just 3 rules for the auction. Number 1, if you're not buying, you are clapping. Which means that when people buy, you clap and give them fame and encourage them. So that's the first rule. Number 2, if you raise your hand for whatever reason, I will assume that you want to buy, and I'll come up to you. The people who taught me how to sell are the people who sell on the streets. And when you are driving in your car and you are looking straight and you don't even move your head, but you just move your eye like that, they'll come back to you and say, yes, what do you want to buy? So I'm very sensitive to movement. So please, this one is not for the traditional leaders and the rest of us. Don't raise your hands. If you raise your hand, I'll think you want to buy. Yes, sir. Okay.
The president says he wants to buy the first book. Okay. And you buy it for 50,000.
I love it. This is what I like. You don't even finish talking and then a sale has been made. So the President of the Republic says he would like to buy the first book. And it's as if the president was reading my mind, because I wanted to sell the first book for 50,000 cedis, and the Vice President, and I have witnesses, he said, the president says he wants to buy it for 50,000 cedis. So can we have the president's book? And we are not going to give the president only one book. We are not going to give him 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. We're going to give him 10 books. The main book, and then please add the rest and bring it to the Vice President's. Yes, so 10 books for 50,000 cedis. Can we add 9 more? Yes. That's for Mr. President to read and share with those who want to know the history. So this is great. In 1 minute, I've made 50,000 cedis, courtesy of the President, speaking through the Vice President. So gold has gone. Now we want silver. Since the President has done 50, I will not even go anywhere near 50 again. So I'll bring it down. I'm looking for the silver copies, the silver wrap book there, and we'll give you not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, we'll give you 6 copies. 6 copies. So the one that is wrapped there plus 5 more for a nice 30,000 cedis. We're looking for an offer of 30,000 cedis for 6 copies of this brand new book. At least let's cross 100. Let's cross 100. J. Braimah was a man of excellence. So we're looking for 30,000 cedis. You can come together. 6 of you, 6 families can come together and then get 6 books. But we're looking for 30,000 cedis for the next offer for 6 of these books, so you can find out for yourself who this man was, what he did for the people of Gonja, the people of the North, the people of Ghana. Do we have an offer? I don't really mind about the slow start. You know, we are like the Black Stars. Black Stars, when they go to any competition, the first game, we don't even win. We play a slow game, 0-0. Then the second game, maybe 1-1. And then the third game, that's when we start doing calculations. If Cameroon scores 6 goals, and Nigeria lets in 2, and they do this calculation, and we score 1, then we'll go to the next round. That's how we are, so no problem. I'll take my time. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm enjoying this table.
We'll take the second one.
Oh, it's great. The Vice President will take the next 6 books For 30,000. We need 6 books. Thank you. I'm enjoying this lunch. So make sure he gets the wrapped one and 5 others for 6. So we've sold 16 books. We've made 80,000. It's not bad. The man was a big man. The bronze book, I'll step it down again. I'm going for 20,000 CDs. And yes, of course. Yes, of course. Thank you. So, I don't think I should come down again. I should just stay here and do the whole auction. Because the Honorable John Boydu, General Secretary of the New Patriotic Parties, has reminded me that Mr. J.A. Braimah was a co-founder of the tradition. And tradition demands that the New Patriotic Party will buy the next 4 copies for 20,000 cedis. So the wrapped 1 and 3. So we've made 100,000 with 3 sales. We've made 100,000. Fantastic. My middle name is Oliver. In fact, my mother's name was Olivia. So you can call me Oliver. And Oliver always wants more. So I'll continue. I think I'll take another 20,000 in the house. If there's another 20,000 in the house, just let me know. We'll also give you another 4 copies of the book, and we'll get to 120,000. Any 20,000s in the house before I step it down? Who knows? 20,000 for 4 copies of the book. You have one for your family. You give the rest to whoever wants to read it and know about. And I hope that we can do an audio version of this and even a Gonja translation of it so people can listen to it in their language and know who the person was. Any 20,000s in the house? All right, we'll step it down to 10,000 CDs. We're looking for 10,000 CDs. We have a hand up. Let me go down there. You can be anonymous. If you don't want to mention your name, no problem. Okay. Who raises hands? Yes, sir. It's anonymous. Anonymous. How much? 20? 10,000. Anonymous. Yes. Gabriel was my grandfather. Oh, okay. He was my grandfather. Okay, clan head and grandfather. Okay, father and a friend. But anonymous. So he's no longer anonymous. Okay, 10. Okay. And then I'm also CPP. All right, so I have a really interesting story here. So the subject of the book was head of the clan of our donor, a grandfather, a father, and a friend. And in the clan, the donor's grandfather was CPP, and J.A. Braimah was UP. Baba Kamara, 10,000 cedis, please. Baba Kamara, 10,000 cedis, so we're at 110. Any more 10,000s in the house? Any more 10,000s? I can step it down to 5. Okay, all right, hold on. 110. Chairman Yao Osafo Mafo, 10,000, please. Give him 4 also. 4. Thank you very much. We're at 120,000. Beautiful. Let's go to 200.
10,000 for Savannah Caucus MPs.
Thank you. The MPs. Yes. All right. Savannah Caucus MPs, 10,000 CDs. Give them 4. Yes. Okay, nice. Okay. So we're at 130,000 right now. Mr. Kwame Addo, nephew of J.A. Braimah, is pledging 15,000. If you're not buying, you are clapping. Please show him where it is. Show him. That's 140. So 130 plus 50, 145,000. That's great. Any more 10,000 before I step it down? I'll step it down. Okay, we're at 135,000. Let's go to 5,000 cedis. 5,000 for, a hand is up. Representing His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, 5,000 cedis. Thank you very much. Professor Alabi is representing. So we're at 140,000. 140,000. Thank you. Alhassan Yakubu Tali, son of the Tolona, 5,000 cedis. So 145. So we're at 145,000 now. Any more 5,000s in the house? Okay, 145,000. Okay. Okay. So 145,000 plus 10,000 is 155,000 we've raised so far. Munzir Nasruddin, 5,000, and Abdullah Isaka, also 5,000. So if you're not buying, you're clapping. 155,000. Please let them have it. Thank you. Any more 5,000s in the house? Any more 5,000s? We have a 5,000? You call me, sir? Yes, we take checks. Let me ask what to sign it. Check in the name of who? Check in the name of?
Abdullah Clifford Braimah.
No, okay. No, they want to write a check. What would they write?
Clifford Abdullah Braimah.
Okay. So checks in the name of Clifford Abdullah Braimah. And so this is 5,000 cedis from the MP for Accra. Thank you. Honorable Dan Butchie. We are 160,000 cedis. Congratulations. 160,000. Any more 5,000s in the house, please? 5,000 seems to be a good number. We are 160,000. Well done, everybody. Any 5,000s in the house? You can go up. I was at 10,000 and somebody went to 15,000. I didn't complain. So you can go up. You can do inflation for me. I don't mind at all. All right. So we're at 160,000. Let's bring it down to maybe 3,000. Or let's say 2,000. 2,000. Let's do some 2,000. Let's get some 5 2,000s. We have a 2,000 here. Thank you very much. If you're not buying, you're clapping. 162.
For one Callistus Mahama.
Yes, you are doing for Callistus. So this is on behalf of Callistus Mahama. 2,000 cedis. 162. Any more 2,000s in the house? 2,000s in the house. Any more 2,000s? 2,000? 2,000? 1,000. Let's do some 1,000s here. 1,000 in the house. One hand is up. Follow me with the book. I beg you. 1,000. 162. Your name, sir?
My name is Mr. Tell them that their master has come to support them.
Salah Salifu. And the message is that your master has come to support you. He's a Sisala man. 163,000. Thank you very much. Any more thousands in the house? 1,000. 163. Any more thousands? We have only 5 minutes and I'm done. 163. Any thousands in the house? Thousands. Any 500s? 500s. Did somebody raise their hand? In the front? Oh, okay. Awesome. So we are 163,000. All right. The Honorable Hackman Oswajiman, 1,000 cedis. 164. If you're not buying, you're clapping. 164. Any 500s in the house? 500s. So 164,000. I see a hand up. I have only 3 minutes. Yes, sir. This is what, 500?
Yes,
MP for Cherponi. Coming to support. I hear you. 164,500. Any more 500s in the house? Another 500 in the house. So we're now 165,000. Yes, sir. Let's have the book, so. Chairman Jacob. Gonjaland Youth Association Chairman. Gonjaland Youth Association Chairman. 500 cedis. Yes. If you're not buying, you're clapping. 165,000. 165,000. Solomon Boa, former MP, another 500. 165, 500. Let's get to 166. Any more 500s? Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Billy Joe, one book, 500. 166,000. Thank you. 166. 500 is good. 166,000. Yes, sir. Yes. Mohammed Awal Alhassan, another 500 right here. Can we have the books? Please? 165,500 cedis. I have 2 minutes more. 165, 500. 165, 500. Another 500 for me. Last stop, 200. Any 200s in the house. This is the last stop, then I go. 200s. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Can we have a book here? 200 CDs. Thank you so much. 200. There are more 200s in the house. I think I'll wrap it up here. And if you want to give, just call the ladies. They'll come and give to you. They'll give you your book. They'll take your book. Please come over here. When people want to buy, you have to be quick. You have to be quick, especially when it's shishi. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. No, that's the last stop. That's the last stop. So today, anybody who wants to buy with 200. Yeah, because in the bookshop is 200. That's it. All right. All right. Thank you so much for your generosity, your kindness. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap for yourselves. We still have more books in the house going for 200. But if you want to give more than 200, I am more than happy to entertain you. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this program very shortly. I want us to welcome the next speaker, who has been involved in writing biographies and autobiographies of distinguished Ghanaians. Please serve those. Please go around with the books. Please go around with the books. People want to buy. People want to buy. Go around. Thank you. So the next speaker has been involved in writing autobiographies, publishing autobiographies and biographies. He's published an autobiography of Dr. Adokufo, former minister. He's done one of Professor Adofening, Professor SKB Asante. He even did one for the late great broadcaster Konrad Dumont. And then the Working with Rawlings book that was so hot last year, his company was behind that book. Let us welcome the publisher of and the CEO of DG Books Ghana Limited, on whose platforms we are live right now on Zoom, on YouTube, on Facebook, Mr. Fred Labi, the publisher. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Joseph Mafu, Senior Presidential Advisor, His Excellency Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, Chief and Traditional Leaders, Nananum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a great privilege to be able to present DigiBooks as the publishers of J. A. Braimah's book. I'd first like to thank Mr. Alhassan Ahmed for giving DigiBooks the opportunity to publish this very well-researched book. It's been a great pleasure working with you through the conversation, birth, and now the adoring of this very well-researched historical book. We have much enjoyed your dedication to excellence and attention to detail through the whole period we work together. We hope that our partnership shall continue well into the future. I know J.A. wrote many books but not yet published, and we are ready to work with you to publish them. I also like to thank my wife and the team from DigiBooks for all the hard work and dedication to ensuring that this publication is such a great success. I have only one key message to give tonight. Africa is suffering from a significant literary deficit. There are not enough African writers. This poses a significant threat to the preservation of our culture and learning from our past mistakes. To quote from Chinua Achebe, until the lion tells his side of the story, the tale of the hunter will always glorify the hunter. The world is ignorant of Africa, and it is our responsibility to enlighten them by contributing our perspective not only in areas of dominant academic discourse, but also depicting our attitudes, beliefs, behavior, and thus leave a true legacy for our children. Marcus Garvey, the Jamaican publisher and political activist for Black nationalism, once said, to quote, "A people without knowledge of their past, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots," unquote. And further to quote Winston Churchill, "A nation that forgets its past has no future. These schools emphasize the benefits of past knowledge on the present and future. The past presents mistakes from which people can learn to avoid repeating them. It is therefore very important to chronicle our history to progress our nation. May I take this opportunity to encourage our diplomats, politicians, entrepreneurs, and all people of all walks of life to write a contribution to the nation building. We at DigiBooks are specialists in print-on-demand publishing. We are dedicated to supporting authors through the life cycle of book development, from conception, editing, book design, launch, and distribution. We have the unique capability to develop a prototype of your actual publication and work with you, the author, a flexible and affordable final book printed at large scale. Other titles we publish include various memoirs, academic journals, various biographies, and autobiographies. We are currently the largest publisher for the University of Ghana Legal Reader Series. DigiBooks would like to be your publisher of choice, and we are dedicated to continue driving significant contributions to Ghana and Africa's literary wealth. If you have an unpublished manuscript ready to be published, we will be happy to collaborate with you to turn a dream into a reality. J. A. Braimah's book, launched today, will be available in all good bookshops in the country and on the internet at Amazon and the website of DigiBooks. There are plans to do an e-book version to capture the iPad and Kindle markets. Finally, thank you all for taking your time off your busy schedule to come to support the adoring of J. A. Braimah, Biography with a Trailblazer. Details of DigiBooks are at the back of the program. Do not leave without grabbing a book for yourselves and friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fred Labi, Chief Executive Officer of DigiBooks, the publishers of this fantastic work. We will now take the remarks of our chairman, Senior Presidential Advisor, the Honorable Yao Osafo Mafo. Let's welcome him, please.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, acting as the President of the Republic, Honorable Dan Kwekuboche, Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable John Buedu, the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Hackman Usajiman, Chairman of the Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party, the distinguished author of this book, our revered traditional rulers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Glancing through the book, you cannot stop saying a big thank you to the author of this book. He started virtually for nothing. Considering his age, he's not somebody who even was alive when the gentleman was there. He just came across one essay and led to one another, and he did very extensive research and has produced this brilliant biography of J. A. Braimah, a trailblazer, and I like the name he gave to it, a trailblazer, a life defined by a perpetual struggle and sheer tenacity of overcoming it. J. A. Braimah was one of the first 3 members of Parliament of the Northern Region. Indeed, he was the first minister for the northern part of our land. So if we are talking about politicians who matter in this land, we cannot do without mentioning J. A. Braimah. When we were in school, that's quite some time ago, J. A. Braimah was a common future. You heard J.A. Braimah everywhere you went, because his work appeared to have pleased everything. A comment made also by the author is that he's one person who served in every single government, irrespective of which side it was. So there was a clear sincerity recognized of him by most political leaders. Most people saw in him integrity. Most people saw in him somebody who would stand for the truth and fight for the truth. So people wanted him in their government. And his famous word, "Do not seek revenge," is advice for all politicians. Do not seek revenge. The world goes round, and he never sought revenge. He was removed as a lower traditional ruler. He came back later to become the Yagbonwura, a mark of patience, perseverance, and still of that integrity we're talking about. We also want to thank the Vice President for setting the record straight. There have not been very clear about the formation of the UP, how it started, and at which level the National Liberation Movement came in, and the United Party. And I think, Mr. Vice President, it's worth emphasizing that historical trend so that we know precisely, those of us from the UP tradition in particular, who our ancestors are. Well, we have grandfathers and great-grandfathers and fathers. So we should know the chronological order in which they have. Some of the people we have recognized as great-grandfathers were really grandfathers. And others we have taken as grandfathers were really fathers. So let's get the chronology right. And then I glanced through the book and something struck me. He was a man who was very much concerned about the environment. So if J.A. Braimah were alive today, he would have joined the fight against Galamsey. He was so much concerned about the environment that he preached it everywhere and it appeared in all his speeches. Today, one single fight we have, this government, is a fight against Galamsey. And I think it's a fight Nananum, our revered traditional rulers, should take on board and fight. Because you are the custodians of the land. We cannot just wait for people to destroy the land when we call ourselves the traditional rulers. We should join the fight, be at the forefront of the fight, and make sure that we protect the environment for the future. We cannot destroy our rivers for the sake of few people making money. And therefore, J.A. Braimah, if he were here, would have been at the forefront of the Galamsey fight. Let us join in and fight on his behalf. I will also encourage all politicians to get a copy of this book. And I will ask the Secretary General of the NPP to encourage all members, the frontline politicians of the NPP, to access this book and know what people stood for and what people fought for. This is very important because if you listen to these stories very carefully, and if we hear about the story of Dombo and Busia, Dombo had a large majority of about 19 seats, Busia had 1. Yet, when they joined together, Dombo was ready to surrender his leadership of the group to Busia on the grounds of Busia's know-how, knowledge, and experience. So that selfishness was out of the question. People believe in the goodness of the group. They want a leader for a group. It is not me who has the majority of the people, but this man with only 1 seat has the experience to lead the group. Let us allow him to lead the group. And I think this is politics at its best, and we should learn from it. Those of us from that tradition should always learn from Dombo, Busia, and all these eminent citizens who did really trailblazer work to set the records straight. Many people have worked for this country. Many people have died for this country. And it's good that you have young people like the author of this book get up and put them together for us to read. Let us give a big clap to a young man who did this book. He's not around. Before he appeared here, I was expecting to meet somebody with gray hair like myself. Then came a young man who has just made the effort to research and produce this book. Young man, congratulations. I think you've done yourself proud, and we are all very proud of you. I would want to say that this evening has been worthwhile. And if you sit where I am sitting and watch the traditional dresses ahead of you, you also get satisfaction over tradition. Thank you, our reverend traditional rulers, for gracing this occasion in this style. Mr. Vice President, thank you for taking us through the history. And our hard-working Secretary General, thank you for giving us the togetherness of our tradition. We want to say a big thank you to all those who made it to this function. And we think people will, after the function, buy the book. They are all in front there, and read the book. Let all politicians read that book. It will help us to understand unity of purpose. Thank you very much.
I have a copy of the program just to see where we are. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Senior Presidential Advisor, Honorable Yao Asafo Mafu. It's now time for the vote of thanks. I'd like to call on Engineer Dr. Clifford A. Braimah, Managing Director of the Ghana Water Company Limited.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and the Acting President, Mr. Chairman, our General Secretary, the representative of the former President, the Honorable Minister of Local Government, our Vice Chiefs, Chairman of Council of Elders of MPP, other dignitaries present, Gonja Land Youth Association, the executives present here. I am here on behalf of the Braimah family to offer the vote of thanks. I think today is a good day for all of us, and I'm sure the old man will be very happy wherever he is today. First and foremost, we want to thank the Almighty Creator for making it possible for us to get today to showcase what a lot of people didn't know. Secondly, His Excellency, the Vice President and Acting President, we know that you are a busy person, but you've made time to come and grace this occasion. The family says, thank you very much, and may God bless you. Mr. Chairman, we thought it wasn't going to be possible when we were looking around. You assured us you'll be here, and you have come. The family is so grateful for your presence. General Secretary, not only gracing the occasion, you've added some flesh, some spices to this program and giving us some history that today we've added to whatever we had. We want to thank the party for allowing you to come and grace this occasion for us. Our Chairman of Council of Elders, we thought it was going to be difficult. You took it on yourself when you realized another group was having a function here 2 days ago. You were so excited about this program, you thought there was going to be a conflict. Drew my attention that there was another one. You took time, we had to check to be sure that there was not going to be a conflict. We are so grateful for the time. Our revered chiefs, it's not easy for our Paramount Chiefs to fly from the north to Accra, but they are here. They came yesterday. You left your families, your businesses, your activities, your traditional areas. We want to extend our sincere gratitude to you for making time to come. The Honorable Minister of Local Government was far away somewhere, but for this program, he had to rush through traffic to attend it. We say, Hassan Kushung, may God bless you. Our former president's representative, yes, we invited him. He said he wasn't going to be around, but he will get somebody to attend. Professor, we are grateful for your coming and also extending a hand to the publishers for the work they've done by also taking one of the books. Our Gonja Land Youth Association, I don't think we could have done this without your contribution, helping to publicize the program. Thank you very much for coming. There are other people here, I cannot mention everybody. So many of you, we are so grateful and we are happy. And I'm sure today, it might be very difficult for us to even sleep, because something that we thought would never happen has happened. Some of the history that we didn't know, we only heard, have been documented for the children or great-grandchildren to come and read. So on behalf of the Timu family, the J. A. Braimah family of Pembi, and the traditional area, we want to thank all of you for making time and say that whatever that you pull out today, may the Almighty Allah give you in fulls of it. Thank you very much, and may God bless all of us.
Hassan Kushun, thank you very much, Engineer Braimah, for your vote of thanks. Closing prayer will be performed by Apostle Fidel Praise from Strong House Ministry. And while he comes up, if you still have our pledge envelopes, kindly surrender them to my friends from DigiBooks. They are wearing the orange shirts, the pledge envelope, so we can make correct records. Apostle Praise, for the closing prayer, please.
Thank you. Please, shall we pray? Almighty God, we thank you for this wonderful time we have had together. I want to thank you for the impact that this book is going to make in this generation. Father, as we depart, go with us in the name of Jesus Christ. Lead every one of us to our respective destinations. May your name be glorified. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's be on our feet for the national anthem, please. The national anthem. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. The members on the dais will depart. Kindly wait for them to leave, and then we'll exit the hall. Thank you. My name is Kafuide. God bless. Have a safe journey home.